When Thanksgiving is here, go outside, stay 6 feet apart, and please, please wear masks.
Tonight, Washington Board of Health pleading for help as coronavirus cases continue to skyrocket across the state. We hear what they plan to do if those numbers don't come down.
Tonight I'm tracking another threat for some light snow and icy roads, but a major weather system is aimed at the Pacific Northwest later on this week.
That's why I'm going to set bond in this matter in the amount of $1 million cash or surety.
Plus, the suspect in the murder of a Newport teen was in court today. Why his bond was set so high and why prosecutors believe he is their main suspect. KREM 2 News begins right now. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us here tonight. I'm Regina On. We want to get right into our top story of the night, and that, of course, is our weather. And this is a live look out of our tower cam. You can just see how that fog is blanketing over Spokane right now. Thomas Patrick joining me from the Outdoor Weather Center. So, Thomas, I know you're out there. How does it look right now, and where is this fog coming from?
Yeah, well, it seems even foggier than it was during our 10 o'clock broadcast. And really, the reason we have the fog is because during the day, some of that snow did melt, and now that excess moisture made it back into the atmosphere and it is condensing into a fog. It almost looks like a snow mist out here from our Outdoor Weather Center, so that would be a freezing fog. So yes, foggy conditions, temperatures below the 32-degree mark. So I think a lot of this freezing fog is going to ice up the windshields of our cars overnight tonight, might create some slick roadways as well. There's also a little bit of light snow falling farther down towards the south. Here's Moscow and Lewiston. You see Elk River also getting some light snow still as of this hour. So in this region, in your own version of the icy roads, and that's actually where the winter weather advisories remain in effect until 5 a.m. This was for the snow during the evening hours tonight. So both the fog and some snow showers still at play for this evening. Tomorrow it's going to be not just cold, but perhaps a little bit of an icy morning out there. So give yourself a few extra minutes to not just get to where you need to go, but probably to scrape off your windshields from all that ice. But at least we get some sunshine in the afternoon hours. That's just tonight, though. I think late this week, we see a very massive storm system take aim at the Pacific Northwest. So I'm tracking whether we'll see rain or snow out of this particular system coming up in a few minutes here.
Yeah, definitely. And for those of you who still have some driving to do tonight, like Thomas and myself, maybe take it a little slower.
Take it slow, particular for the visibility tonight.
All right, Thomas, thanks so much for that. Well, today, the Washington Board of Health said if people don't take this pandemic seriously, there could be mandatory restrictions in the near future.
We do not want to take further actions that will hurt, further hurt our economy. But unfortunately, if we continue on this trajectory, at some point we may need to.
And with Thanksgiving quickly approaching, they say informal gatherings should not take place and are even recommending people to quarantine for 2 weeks prior to Thanksgiving.
For those of you that want to have a small Thanksgiving, please make it outdoors. Please limit it to no more than 5 people outside your household.
And the board members saying coronavirus really doesn't care about holidays, and it's important to not let your guard down as we get into some more of the holiday season.
Plan ahead, take as much time before the holidays are here to make a plan that works for your family. Be creative about that and not to do it impulsively and at the last minute. We're less likely to be safe if we make a plan at the last minute. So we can still have that connection. We can still really have those great, joyful moments with people, but we need to do it safely.
So for more ways on how to celebrate safely this holiday season, you can text the word COVID to 509-448-2000. Well, the Spokane Regional Health District reporting 137 new coronavirus cases in the county. That brings the total number of cases to 11,530 since the pandemic began. No new deaths have been reported. 62 Spokane County residents are currently in the hospital. And you here tonight at 11, Whitman County reporting 11 new coronavirus cases. That brings the total number of cases there to 1,938. 20 people have died since the start of this pandemic in the county, and 5 people are currently in the hospital there. Well, next spring, students at Washington State University will arrive to an increase in testing for COVID-19. And today, the school announced a new program to be installed that's aimed on limiting virus spread, along with a crackdown on screenings. KREM 2's Brandon T. Jones explains.
By the time January comes around, more students will be returning to Pullman. Like the fall, things will definitely be different, but an increase in testing is the next step toward providing a safe environment.
For anyone that chooses to live in a dorm next year, they'll be required to take a mandatory COVID test before settling in.
It's going to be a much more managed process to allow students back on campus.
Nearly 3,000 people are expected to stay on campus. That's down from what's normally 6,000.
We're only allowing one person per room. Typically, rooms have 2 and in some cases 3 students.
Each student that's tested will have to isolate for 1 to 2 days while waiting on their results. Throughout the semester, there's even a separate resident hall for quarantine purposes. With support from Whitman County Public Health, contact tracing will be amplified to reduce further spread. Finding early indications of the virus will be a top priority, and that can be accomplished several ways.
If we detect in the wastewater stream that somebody in a hall is infected, then we'll do mandatory targeted screening for everybody who lives in that hall.
Off-campus students will have access to voluntary tests. That includes anyone staying in apartments or Greek housing. Earlier this year, the National Guard was brought in to set up testing in Pullman. Positive cases linked to the school have decreased, but ongoing screen testing will take place for those not experiencing symptoms.
So we could basically bring the tests to the students, which again, I think really alleviated barriers and made it more likely for them to test. And that approach has been really effective.
As for the remainder of this semester, students are being told to stay home if they travel for Thanksgiving. Appointments will have to be set for move-in day in the spring. Reporting for KREM 2 News, Brandon T. Jones.
All right, now to some developing news. We are learning more about the events leading up to the murder of 19-year-old Jason Fox. The Newport teen disappeared in September. His body found weeks later. Today, a 4th man appeared in court to face 9 charges related to Fox's murder. Our Morgan Trow was there. She explains why the bond was set so high and why prosecutors believe this man is their primary suspect.
The sheriff's office says it's still investigating the motive in the death of Jason Fox, but they think they found their culprits. I'm at the Pend Oreille County Courthouse where the primary suspect had his first appearance.
And that's why I'm going to set bond in this matter in the amount of $1 million cash or surety.
One of Jason Fox's last messages was making sure Riley Hillstad was not going to be at the 22 Juergens Road Ranch in Newport, Washington. Fox was found in a shallow grave at the same property 3 weeks later. Now, that same man that Fox was afraid of is charged with his murder. That and 8 other charges. At his first appearance, Hillstad remained shackled as the judges declared he was a risk to the courtroom. He is one of the 4 men arrested for Fox's murder, but the other 3's bail are set at $750,000, while his is $1 million. Court documents, co-defendant testimonies, and witness reports say that he was the mastermind behind the murder. The men cannot keep their stories straight, but they finally all pointed their fingers at Hillstad. The other suspects say he was the one who made up the alibi. He was the one who went out back with Jason. He was the one who beat up Jason, tied his hands behind his back, and buried him in the lawn. The Pend Oreille County Sheriff says Riley was a suspect very early on, and he did not help his case by bringing weapons to his interview with law enforcement, telling officers he should have killed the property owner of 22 Juergens when he had the chance, and refusing to go to his first hearing yesterday. Hillstad's first arraignment will be the morning of Friday, November 20th. Reporting in Newport, Morgan Trow, KREM 2 News.
All right, coming up here earlier today, our Mark Hanrahan spoke with an SRHD epidemiologist about the startling increase in coronavirus cases. He says several factors are at play, but a big driver is gatherings among extended family and friends, and he worries about hospital capacity as well, especially as we head into flu and cold season.
And I think that is one of the most pressing issues. Because that's the thing that's going to affect everyone, even if they don't have COVID. You know, if we don't have ICU capacity, then if someone's coming in with a stroke or a heart attack, that's going to affect their health as well. They may have to be diverted and sent to a hospital on the west side or somewhere else.
And we'll hear more from Mark Springer in his full interview with our Mark Hanrahan that's coming up later in our newscast. All right, so ahead here at 11, the City of Spokane's Planning Commission is voting to rename a street tomorrow that has a pretty traumatic history. What street that could be that's going to be renamed? We'll have that story coming up next.